Good morning. My name is Jason Hollinger. I'm the preaching and community minister for Lufkin Central. And for this morning's Jesus and Coffee, I want to take you back to Wednesday night at the Hollinger household. On Wednesday night, my along with my oldest Emmeline, we sat in the living room and on got on YouTube and we're just watching music videos. And we were going kind of going through, and she was showing me just with joy and excitement, wanting me to see these videos that she's been watching. And just and I showed her some of those music that I like. And it was a great moment, just if at the very least, for this time of these these experiences and these moments, that hey, she's 15 years old. And we're closer to the time that those moments are far and few between, than we were from just really kind of beginning this relationship with one another. And as I was sitting there and just hearing her express the joy that she had for sharing this with me, that's something that she loves. I started, oddly enough, as I reflect back on it, I started to kind of think about Acts chapter 2. That in Acts chapter 2, you get to verse 42. And I want to share this with you and really kind of help you see how it makes sense of how it communicates to me. In Acts chapter 2, verse 42, you have this time that is the beginning of the church. And you say, okay, well, how does the beginning of the church compare to you and Emmeline sitting in the living room watching music videos on YouTube? But bear with me, go with me on this, and we'll get there, and then we'll get to today's challenge. It says, starting in verse 42, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. And awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing to the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. So now let me make this connection to Acts 2:42 through verse 47, with our night on YouTube Wednesday night. Well, you see, as we think about this, we were sharing an experience, something that brought joy, something that uh, filled a void where, again, joy was not before, that now it's there. And sharing that with each other, things that we had discovered, that even in the midst of it, that we would kind of figure out, like, oh, I knew about that and she knew about that, but we had not experienced it together. There were things that we had experienced separately that brought us joy, but together we had not gone through the emotions of everything, of being able to experience it then. And then what we figured out is, even kind of in the midst of this, more that would come in the midst of this moment, of that responses that weren't there before were now there. And when you think about this, the early church, as they were sharing what God had blessed them with, what God had given them, even in their own households, that they might have experienced the joy of receiving this blessing and sharing it with one another in their household. But now they're sharing what God has blessed them with the community, with the faith community. And so then comes this new range of emotions, of things that they're experiencing and things that they're going through, that they maybe didn't have this certain, they appreciated what they had, but then all of a sudden they have this newfound appreciation for it, because they realize that, man, maybe even something that was not really our favorite something we appreciated, was not our favorite, but man, soon became a favorite of somebody else. Soon, because they had maybe not experienced that blessing, they had this void in their life. So you see these moments that we have, because these moments that we have, because our struggle comes when we say, okay, well, how can we, you know, either whether it's duplicate what the early church experienced, or how can we have that same kind of experience? Well, one way that we can, where it says they had everything in common, and that kind of that what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine, is they shared what brought them joy, and we can share what brings us joy as well. So here's my challenge for you today. How can you share the joy you have? How can you share what God has given you with somebody else, but maybe not even go in thinking this is what's going to give them joy? But how can you open up your life to the point that everything that you have is for the benefit of somebody else, in the sense that it can bring them joy, it can meet a need, it can fulfill something in their life. Because I guarantee you have something that God has given you, that He has given you to bless someone else with. And it may not even be the thing that you're thinking about. Because so often we think of the big things, that man, this big thing is going to bless someone else. But sometimes it's even the little things. The things may not be our favorite, but it's what God has given us to bless someone else. So there's your challenge for today. How can you use what God has given you to bless someone else? How can you open up your life, your blessings, your possessions, your whatever it may be, for someone else's benefit? Because God blessed you with it, not for you alone, but for others. A little something to think about. Y'all have a great day. God bless.